trips to swingers clubs where he forced his wife to have sex with strangers, and a chilling prison letter calling for more thugs to be killed. Life and loves of rap shooting killer laid bare. Rap music killer forced his wife to have sex with strangers while he watched, and sent his daughter a note from jail calling for more thugs to be shot so then they might take the hint. Michael Dunn, 47, charged with killing 17-year-old Jordan Davis in November 2012 in a row over loud rap music. Jury deadlocked on first-degree murder charge and convicted him of second-degree attempted murder for spraying car full of teens with bullets. Dunn's former neighbor described him in taped interviews with police and a lawyer as a bully who allegedly threatened to kill his two ex-wives. Neighbor claimed Dunn forced one of wives to have sex with strangers in swingers club 2 days after wedding. Dunn allegedly threatened to have his foreign-born spouses deported so they won't see their children. Defendant wrote letters from jail to his daughter ranting against blacks and Hispanics. He believed blacks and Hispanics were below white people. Former next-door neighbor Charles Hendricks said of Dunn in taped interviews. Dunn wrote about how jail was full of blacks and suggested if more people arm themselves and kill these idiots they might take a hint. Dunn also allegedly compared himself to George Zimmerman and said he had a stronger case than the man acquitted of murdering Trayvon Martin. A man who shot dead a black teenager in a row over loud music was a violent bully who allegedly threatened to kill his wives and forced one of them to have sex with strangers, people close to him have claimed. Michael Dunn also allegedly ranted against blacks and Hispanics, and suggested that more people should arm themselves and kill them even while awaiting verdict for his suspected crime. He raged in a letter sent from jail to his daughter that if more were killed they might change their thuggish behavior. The sensational claims were made public after Dunn was found not guilty of first-degree murder in the killing 17-year-old Jordan Davis this afternoon. The jurors, who could not agree on the most serious charge, instead convicting him of second-degree attempted murder counts, were not aware of many of the claims as they were ruled inadmissible by the trial judge. But Mail Online can reveal them in full today. Davis was shot dead during a confrontation with Dunn at a gas station in Jacksonville, Florida, in November 2012. Angered by the car full of teens playing rap music loudly from their stereo, Dunn approached the car and told them to lower the volume. He maintained he was threatened and in fear of his life, and fired 10 shots in self-defense. Davis, from Jacksonville, was unarmed and no gun was ever found in his SUV. After 30 hours of deliberations, the 47-year-old defendant was found guilty of 3 counts of second-degree attempted murder while a mistrial was declared on the most serious count. The 12 jurors also found Dunn guilty of 1 count of shooting into an occupied car. It is only now after the completion of the trial that the sensational claims about alleged wife-beating and swingers clubs can be made. They were made by his former next-door neighbor Charles Hendricks in a series of taped interviews to police detectives and the lawyer representing Davis' family. In them, he claimed he witnessed first-hand bullying and violence towards Dunn's 2 ex-wives that left them in fear of their lives. He went into incredible detail to portray a supposedly brutal, domineering side of 47-year-old Dunn that the jury were not aware of. Jurors who deliberated for 3 days had no idea that Hendricks claimed both of Dunn's wives left him because of threats of violence. According to him, one claimed Dunn allegedly held a gun to her head and she was also forced to have sex with strangers at a swingers club just 2 days after she wed Dunn. Hendricks was interviewed by a member of Davis' legal team who gave Mail Online permission to use the tape. He was later interviewed by detectives Musser and Oliver from the Jacksonville Police Department. Another neighbor who lived in the same street as Dunn in Port St. Lucie, Florida, in the late 1990s told Mail Online that he allegedly had a fearsome temper. "He was not a nice man and we steered clear of him," said the neighbor who declined to be named. "I used to see his first wife walking with her daughter. She always looked so scared. She was not that friendly and we kept our distance. Sometimes you'd hear them shouting out in the backyard. He would swear a lot and say some nasty things. In the taped interview, Hendricks said he found Dunn an arrogant man who believed he was intellectually superior to others. He said both of Dunn's wives fled to his home to seek help after being allegedly verbally abused and physically beaten. They would come to my house crying, claiming they are scared to death of this individual, Hendricks said. Hendricks added that Dunn's first wife, Sarah, was from Mexico and his second, Clara, from Colombia. Both were permanent residents but did not have U.S. citizenship. Hendricks alleged that Dunn would taunt the women that he would get them deported and they would never see their children again. Sarah had a son while Clara had 2 daughters. In his allegations, Hendricks claimed all the children were terrified of their stepdad and avoided him by staying over at his home in a quiet palm tree-fringed street in Port St. Lucie. Hendricks said he once saw Sarah with a swollen lip and a bruise on her face. She had come to me crying that they had a real bad row about drugs and that he had threatened to blow her brains out, he said. Hendricks said Dunn's second wife, Clara, allegedly told him that she was forced to have sex with a stranger at a swingers club in Fort Lauderdale. She told me she did not want to but was too afraid, he said. Hendricks's wife, who was also interviewed on the tape, said Clara told her the incident took place 2 days after they were married in a civil ceremony at a UPS store. She said she saw Clara was upset and invited her over to the house for coffee, where she told her about the sex with strangers. Jailhouse correspondence, in a letter to his 20-year-old daughter Rebecca pictured, Dunn wrote about how the jail in Jacksonville was full of blacks, and suggested that more people should arm themselves and kill these idiots. She said the night after she got married, Dunn took me to a switch club. When I asked what that was, she said it was a place where couples switch partners. She said it was disgusting. Mr. and Mrs. Hendricks repeated their claims of domestic violence in another taped interview recorded by police as part of their investigation. Hendricks, who now lives in Georgia, said he wasn't surprised when he read Dunn had been charged with murder. I knew this was going to happen sooner or later, he said. I had an inkling what he was capable of. I knew sooner or later this guy was going to kill someone. He thought the gun made him safe. That is the attitude he had. The gun was his best friend. Hendricks added that Dunn allegedly often spouted racist remarks and said America was being taken over by minorities. He believed blacks and Hispanics were below white people, he said. The audio was posted on YouTube, but many parts have been redacted to protect the names of Dunn's children. While the tape was not used as evidence, a series of jailhouse letters written by Dunn to his 20-year-old daughter Rebecca were shown to the jury. Companion, Dunn was with his girlfriend, Rhonda Ruayer pictured, who stepped away to pick up wine and food when he approached a red SUV and asked the teens inside to turn down the music. In one of the letters, Dunn talks about how the jail in Jacksonville was full of blacks, and suggested if more people arm themselves and kill these idiots they might take a hint and change behavior. He wrote, "The jail is full of blacks and they all act like thugs. I think the legal system is scared of a backlash anytime there is a white-on-black incident, but don't get excited when it's black on black or even black on white. This may sound a bit radical, but if more people would arm themselves and kill these idiots when they're threatening you, eventually they may take the hint and change their behavior." In another letter that was posted to a Facebook page set up by his daughter to drum up support and donations for her father, Dunn expresses how racist the blacks are in Jacksonville. He also compares himself to George Zimmerman and says he had a stronger case than the former Neighborhood Watch volunteer. Dunn wrote, "It's almost as if they're trying to hold me for as long as possible, because they know they have such a weak case against me and no chance of winning. Corey, my attorney, says I have a much stronger case of self-defense than Zimmerman does. He said that I should not worry if he loses, but it's a great sign if he wins." Another letter penned by Dunn, who prior to the verdict had no previous criminal convictions, stated, "I just got off the phone with you and we were talking about how racist the blacks are up here. The more time I am exposed to these people, the more prejudiced against them I become. I suppose the white folks who live here are pretty much anti-black, at least the ones who have been exposed to them." Jurors were able to view the letters during the trial, which drew comparisons with the Zimmerman-Martin case in Sanford, Florida, last year. While Zimmerman called police during his confrontation with Martin, jurors heard that Dunn, from Satellite Beach, Florida, drove away after the shooting. The incident took place in November 2012 as Dunn and his girlfriend, Rona Rueher, returned to their hotel from his stepson's wedding reception. While Rueher went to pay for some wine and food, Dunn told the court he asked a car containing Davis to turn down their loud hip-hop music. After the music was lowered, it was turned back up and Dunn claimed he heard Davis threatening to kill him. He said he thought what was the top of a shotgun poking out of a window as Davis got out of the back seat of a Dodge Durango. Dunn, who has a concealed carry permit, claimed he acted in self-defense and shot 10 bullets into the car. Notorious case. In a jailhouse letter, Dunn compared himself to George Zimmerman and said he had a stronger case than the former Neighborhood Watch volunteer. Davis was hit once and died later in a hospital. Medical experts said that judging by the entry wounds on his body, he was seated at the time of the shooting. Prosecutor Aaron Wolfson told the jury, "This defendant was disrespected by a 17-year-old teenager, and he lost it. He wasn't happy with Jordan Davis' attitude." What was his response? "You're not going to talk to me like that. He took these actions because it was premeditated. It was not self-defense." Notorious case. In a jailhouse letter, Dunn compared himself to George Zimmerman and said he had a stronger case than the former Neighborhood Watch volunteer. Davis was hit once and died later in a hospital. Medical experts said that judging by the entry wounds on his body, he was seated at the time of the shooting. Prosecutor Aaron Wolfson told the jury, "This defendant was disrespected by a 17-year-old teenager, and he lost it. He wasn't happy with Jordan Davis' attitude." What was his response? "You're not going to talk to me like that. He took these actions because it was premeditated. It was not self-defense." Dunn's lawyer maintained he had the right to shoot under Florida's controversial Stand Your Ground law. Davis' parents, Ron Davis and Lucia McBath, attended the trial and said their son was excited about starting a new part-time job at McDonald's. Lucia said he worked at a supermarket to earn extra money but was very happy to have landed a server job at the fast food restaurant. She said it was his ambition to join the military.